Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. We're going to have a look at the ECMWF 30-day ensemble model for today's first video for the UK and Europe in terms of temperature and precipitation anomalies that we're expecting over next month. It's going to take us well into November. We're at the Hungarian Met Office for this, so big thank you for them, for supplying us with these charts. Now, coming up later on this afternoon on the homepage, we'll have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. We'll do your regular week to 10 day weather forecast video. So I'll be with you later on this afternoon, but starting us all off is our regular Tuesday ECMWF 30-day ensemble look at. So we're going to see the temperature and precipitation anomalies for the next month, broken down into week periods. We can't see mean sea level pressure or 500 millibar heights, unfortunately, but based on the temperature and precipitation anomalies, you get a rough idea of what the pattern is likely to be that model is forecasting. So get on with that for you right now, starting with week 1. This takes us from the 10th, from the 15th of the 10th through to the 21st of the 10th, 2018, so the 15th through 21st of October. It's actually week 42 for the year, but it's kind of like week 1 for this update. So we're beginning here with our temperature anomalies across Europe for the weekend. It looks pretty warm, actually. Very warm week coming up. Many parts of Europe coming out substantially warmer than average. So we've got this big area across Central and Western Europe, where we're around, scales on the bottom here, around 3 to 6 degrees above average. Also, across Scandinavia, we're somewhere around 3 to 6 degrees above average in many places. Down into the east of Europe as well, very warm scene, and into the west of Russia again, 3 to 6 degrees temperature anomalies. Through the Mediterranean, not quite as warm, but even so, around 1 to 3 degrees above average in many parts of the Med. It's only really down across southern parts of Spain and Portugal, where it's a little bit cooler than average, around 1 degree below average there for southern parts of Spain, northern Spain and Portugal, a bit warmer than average. Across the UK and Ireland, so I'd actually one of the cooler places in Europe in the week ahead, a little bit cooler than average, or close to average really for much of Ireland. Many parts of the UK a little bit warmer than average, not as big a deviation as we got through most parts of Europe though, so it's kind of like average to around 1 or 2 degrees above average really for much of the UK in weekend. So it's a little bit cooler in this northwestern and southwestern corner of Europe, but really from around France over towards western Russia, it is very substantially warmer than average there in the week ahead. Precipitation wise, it's looking like this. And, well, the Mediterranean actually looks very wet. So if you're planning a Med holiday down towards the Costas or into the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, Malta, places like that, and probably down towards Corsica, Sardinia, it looks like it's coming out substantially wetter than average there. You will think that's primarily down to heavy showers and thunderstorms. Also a little bit wetter than average across Norway, above average precipitation up there. But otherwise, actually, most parts of Europe are coming out warmer than average in the week, drier than average in the week ahead. So we can see that through much of Europe, there appears to be, if it's warmer than average and it's drier than average, there appears to be a ridge dominating, I think, across many parts of Europe. High pressure is in control. The UK and Ireland also coming out drier than average in the week ahead. So no problems there with the temperature or precipitation anomalies in the week ahead. But then a huge change takes place as we go through into week 2. This is week 43. Week 2 for our forecast period. It's the 22nd through to 28th of October, and we really flip the temperature anomalies. So from that very much warmer than average week that we have in the coming week, actually we go cooler than average in this final sort of full week of October. So we see the temperature anomalies going cooler than average across most parts of Central Europe, UK and Ireland coming out with a cooler than average temperature anomaly. Again, some places around 1 to 3 degrees below average, particularly for southern parts of England and southern parts of Ireland. France, Germany, those sort of areas again forecast to be around 1 to 3 degrees cooler than average. Northeastern Europe, not quite as cool there. Only around a degree below average, but even so, it is a little bit cooler than average for those regions. Down into southeast of Europe, it looks quite cool, and through the Mediterranean, also fairly cool conditions being forecast there. The southwestern part of Europe, particularly Portugal, is forecast to have above average temperature anomalies this week and into southern parts of Spain as well. But overall, this looks like a much cooler week coming up this final week of October compared to what we just saw. And then temperature precipitation anomalies look like that. So again, we see many western parts of Europe being forecast to be drier than average. So the UK, Ireland, France, Spain, Portugal, it's drier than average for this final full week of October there. But from Germany eastwards, actually, many parts of Europe look a little bit above average with precipitation. So the central part of Europe is a little bit above average. Southeastern parts of the Med, particularly down towards Greece, coming out wetter than average as well. So looks like unsettled conditions are moving into the southeast of Europe as drier conditions are developing in the southwest of Europe. And then up across Scandinavia, we see that Norway, again, is forecast to be wetter than average. But as we go over towards Sweden, it's a little bit drier than average there. So dry conditions mainly confined to the west. Otherwise, it looks like it's a little bit unsettled central and eastern parts of Europe. You will think the high pressure is shifting into that sort of position then, and the jet stream going on a northwest-southeast alignment, taking low pressure through here, something like that could be going on. And then there's probably another area of low pressure down in the southeast of Europe, but producing that torrential rain around Greece and possibly over towards Turkey as well. Week 3, temperature anomalies taking us from the 29th of October through to the 4th of November are forecast to be cooler than average across many central and western parts of Europe. So we can really slice Europe in two in that sort of position. So anywhere kind of like to the east of Germany is forecast to have average temperature anomalies, and it is actually a little bit warmer than average over towards western Russia and then down towards the Black Sea, a little bit above average with temperature anomalies there. But most eastern, northeastern parts of Europe are being forecast to have average temperature anomalies. In the west, though, and central areas, it looks much cooler. So again, the UK and Ireland having quite a cold week this week. Temperature anomalies again around 1 to 3 degrees below average. And then we see sort of Scandinavia also average or cooler than average. Germany and the Low Countries and down to France. Generally on the cooler than average side there. Spain and Portugal also coming out cooler than average. So cool in central west parts of Europe, close to average in the east, and warmer than average for western parts of Russia. And then the precipitation anomaly looks like this. Generally looks like it's turned a little bit more unsettled in this week. So we find that Scandinavia, for example, a little bit above average with precipitation. UK and Ireland close to average or possibly hints at being a little bit above average with precipitation as well. And then still down across the southeast of Europe, possibly hinting at being a little bit wetter than average there. From Spain and Portugal through France to Germany to Poland and then over towards the eastern part of Europe, it looks as though precipitation anomalies are close to average here, but I do think we might be hinting at rather cool and unsettled conditions really as we're going into this the closing days of October and the opening days of November. And then finally, we're up to week 4, which takes us from the 5th through to the 11th of November. And, well, the anomalies are weakening at this point, but we do still see a weak anomaly here, weak colder than average anomaly here for the UK, for Ireland, Denmark, southern parts of Scandinavia, Belgium, Holland, northern Germany, a little bit cooler than average with those temperature anomalies there. Otherwise, most parts of Europe are actually coming out with average temperature anomalies in this week as the signal is weakening. The very far extreme southeastern part of Europe, close to the Black Sea, a bit warmer than average there, and in the very, very far north of Scandinavia, almost going up to the Arctic Circle, there we see it's a little bit warmer than average as well. That could again primarily be down to high pressure sitting in the northern latitudes. That's backed up a little bit more by the precipitation anomaly. So the week 4 precipitation anomaly looks like this. You'll notice a weak signal to be drier than average, generally to the north of the UK. So around here, sort of in the Norwegian Sea, it looks like it's drier than average to the south of Ireland. It's drier than average and heading over towards southern Greenland, drier than average there. So you will think that could all be associated with high pressure, kind of like blocking in the northern latitudes, which of course is going to get quite interesting in November because the continent will rapidly cool down. Although for this 4th week there's no particularly cold signal, if we do get that high pressure up there in the northern latitudes, it could be an indication that things will be turning quite a lot colder during November. Otherwise, most parts of Europe coming out with average precipitation anomalies. There's not a big deviation really, and again that's probably primarily because the model is sort of losing its signal. But I think the most interesting factor there, as we go further on into November, just a few hints that we've got high pressure setting up over Scandinavia and possibly going into the northern latitudes, which might be a signal that something quite substantially colder could be on the way as we're moving into November. We shall see about that, but certainly quite interesting hints. In the more immediate time frame, the coming week is very warm through most parts of Europe. We're pumping up that tropical air again from the middle of the Atlantic, so temperatures are going to be really quite warm in the week ahead. But after that, the cool down is on. It looks like most parts of Europe end October on quite a cool note, and these cool conditions I think are likely to extend into November, particularly if we do start getting some high pressure building in the northern latitude. So we'll see about that. Right, come back later on this afternoon when we'll have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. But that's it for now. These long range models are always highly experimental, so they are prone to chopping and change. We'll do it all over again next week and see what the ECMWF is showing then. Will we have any further hints of something a lot colder coming up in November? You'll find out next week. But for now, that's all for now, and come back this afternoon for today's week to 10 day update. Bye for now.